Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another short little unboxing video to share with you guys. Not a review, just an unboxing and first impressions. We have something new-ish from Remette. I do know what this is. At least I'm pretty sure, but I haven't opened it up yet. I want to share my first impressions with you guys. Thanks so much to Remette for sending this in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. This should be available. It wasn't initially when I looked, but by the time you guys are seeing this, this should be available, and I'll have a link for it down in the description. So I have to stress, at this exact moment, in my time, which is in the past, I don't know what they've priced this at, but the link that I provide in the description will let you know what the price is. So anyways, let's open this up and see what we've got. Is this not what oh yeah, it is okay. It's hard to tell. So this is a model that okay, so this is full titanium now. This is a model that I have reviewed in the past, but the difference is, and that model being the WD-107. The difference is that this is full DLC. And also, there is no carbon fiber on this one. It's just full black DLC titanium. This is a plunge lock. Yes, okay. So I got to admit, there was a part of me that really hoped that they were going to transition to a button-operated liner or compression lock, which, by the way, every company out there is probably a good idea if you can figure out how to do that. But this is pretty good, and honestly, the engagement there it's quite a bit. I mean, there's a little bit of stick, which is fine, but the amount of engagement on that plunge lock is pretty intense. So, I'll give you an example of what I mean. That's a really good plunge lock. I was giving it a little extra sauce there. Without gloves. That's how confident I am. I'm not saying that this is all of a sudden like a cold steel level super mega durable knife, but Remette does a good plunge lock on these. I remember reviewing the first one and really liking the design. Now I gotta be honest, this plunge lock feels like maybe the spring is like what's pushing that into position. Maybe the spring is more robust. There's just a lot more. It's got heft. It's got weight to it. There's a lot of pushback. And I think maybe the downside to that is that it might take longer for the button stick to wear out, but the stick isn't too bad, right? The pivot action is fantastic. And the detent that the plunge lock is creating that's really nice. Yeah, I do like that a lot. So this, in a lot of ways, reminds me, I don't know. It's almost like a souped up 940 button lock, you know? Ergonomic lines, really good. Nice choke up spot. Good blade shape, right? Give you guys a look at the plunge grind there. The thumb studs are all right. It's the little stars there. They're not really a whole lot different than the thumb studs that are on my Excalibur. So maybe they're they're really, really similar in a lot of ways, but something about them is shaped differently or is just a little bit sharper, right? But yeah, a good overall size. Pocket clip is short, and it feels like it would have, it would be really stiff. Let me just do a pocket test real quick. Yeah, a little tiny bit pinchy, but not bad. Not bad at all. That's nice and rounded underneath there. Pretty well, anyways. We have no mounting position for lefty carry there, which is kind of sad. And you do have the lanyard bar, or the lanyard hole, which people don't really care about. I don't love that this is back there, but I suppose it's better than having it up here on the blade. To my knowledge, this is going to be a true DLC, just looking at their other stuff. Like, they do definitely provide actual DLC on their other models. I think this is also M390, and if Remette is doing the heat treat the same way that they always have, it's 59 to 61. So I don't know if their range decreases or if they take extra steps when they DLC coat something to keep the range between 59 and 61, but I did remember seeing on their website that another DLC blade was listed at 59.61, which is still, in my opinion, not optimal. 60 to 62 is optimal, but okay, right? Can't complain too much. Assuming that they're going to keep the price on this reasonable, this is actually a pretty impressive knife. I also really like the button on this. It's not a typical you know, just like circle button. It's an oval, and it's got like knurling on it, which is nice. It doesn't feel like it takes too much travel. It's really just overcoming the slight stick there. But there is something about this plunge lock that I think is different than not only the first version of the WD-107, but just button locks in general. It does take more force, but it's like in a good way, right? I bet this will be somewhere between 2 and 225, or maybe 2 and 250. That's what I would hope that this would come in at. I've already reviewed the WD-107, but if it ends up being that they did do something different here, like it's not just my imagination, it very well could be, right? But if they did do something different, I would re-review this and give you guys my thoughts. But the overall length of this knife, it's not quite 8 inches, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. It's about 7.75 inches, but the blade length, you could definitely still measure it at 3.5. Cutting edge, 3 1/8. So nice ratios there. Something to point out is that the thumb stud is definitely in the cutting path. Like there's just no mistaking it. This is a knife that they probably, I'm trying to think exactly how, like if they had cut this area back a bit further, you could still keep this interesting little textured area and at the same time make the thumb studs equally, if not more accessible, and move the thumb stud back. Like not, you know, like maybe like a 1/4 inch. That's a lot of movement when you're talking about knife parts, but just taking this line and making it go a little more this way so that you've got more room. And as that thumb stud comes back here, you'd still definitely be clearing the frame, and it would, I think, moving it up would actually make it a little bit more organic, and it would be out of the majority of the cutting path. This is going to bother some people, especially if you choke up and try to get material right there in front of your finger. Then you're going to run right into those thumb studs, which is a bummer, but I mean, not a deal breaker for everybody. It might be a deal breaker for some people. This is very, very satisfying to manipulate. I think we might be slightly off center to the right, or is it my imagination? If it is, it's very, very slight. They've got this. This is solid. Like for a plunge lock, everything feels really solid. That's a good looking knife. It's just it's a shadow version of the WD-107, which I think is one of their most classic looking profiles, I guess. This is full tie, no carbon fiber, so it's going to be heavier than the standard version with the extra carbon fiber overlays or scales or whatever you want to call them, right? So the weight on this guy, I'm going to guess this weighs, let's say 3.8 ounces. Oh my gosh. I got better. I got lucky with that one, I think. I think the standard version of the knife probably weighs 3.3 ounces, so it's not going to be a super noticeable amount of weight. But this is cool. It looks good. It's not quite a satin DLC, but it's also not the chalky flat DLC from Spyderco. Like touching this, it doesn't feel, it's not like a friction or like a powdery DLC, right? So that's cool. If it really is, you know, they did the blade and the frame the same way. That's nice. With extended use, as all things are, I mean, eventually you will see wear marks. With a DLC like this, the first time you get a mark on it, it's probably not that you scratched through it. It's that whatever you scratched into it was turned to powder and stuck to the frame or the blade, right? So sometimes people claim that their DLC is scratching up when in reality, it's not scratching up. I mean, if you threw it across the parking lot, then maybe it is, right? But just cutting things, most of the time, it's just whatever you cut, like pulverized and stuck and like embedded into the little microscopic pores of the frame or the blade. Which is, you know, something that's a long discussion with Spyderco DLC knives. But anyways, yeah, pretty cool. I'll link it down in the description. You guys can check it out if you want to. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.